The Ultimate Oscillator is a momentum oscillator, and it is designed to capture momentum across 3 different time frames. It was first developed by Larry Williams in 1976 and featured in Stocks and Commodities magazines in 1985. It rises when buying pressure is strong and falls when buying pressure is weak. So let's go ahead and load up the Ultimate Oscillator on this chart for NVAX here at StockCharts.com. Down here in the chart attributes area, scroll all the way to the bottom and click on the indicators box and scroll all the way to the bottom there, and Ultimate Oscillator is the 4th one up. Go ahead and click that. Now your standard settings are 7, 14, 28, and that is one oscillator that you can modify the settings on. For really quick readings, you can use 4, 8, 16, and if you're a long-term trader using daily, weekly, and monthly charts, 20, 40, 80 seem to be good settings there. Let's go ahead and click Update. Now this indicator ranges from 0 to 100. And there are 3 important lines on it. Of course, the midpoint, like most indicators we've studied, at the 50 line is very important. When you're using 20, 40, 80 settings, anything above 50 is bullish. Okay, it also gives you oversold and overbought readings, just like the RSI at 30 is oversold and anything above 70 is considered overbought. So the signals Ultimate Oscillator gives are, okay, first of all, it'll tell you stock is very oversold, below 30, after a long fall. Okay, then it'll show you that the momentum is up, and it turns bullish when it crosses up through the 50 line, just before the big volume comes in and starts breaking it out. Okay, then after a really nice run, too vertical, too far, too fast, needs a pullback or a cool-off period. Ultimate Oscillator gets overbought above 70, does a double top, breaks down through 70, and the stock consolidates in a sideways to slight downtrend. Okay, the other signals this indicator gives are bullish and bearish divergences. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and load up my other chart here so that I can actually draw lines and show you a bearish divergence there and a bullish divergence right in here. Now let's take a look at the signals that Ultimate Oscillator has given on this chart for NVAX. Okay, first of all, for buy and sell signals, it's a fairly complicated indicator because there are 3 steps to both a buy and a sell signal. Now, the first one is a bearish divergence forms. Okay, that means the stock is going up, but the highs on Ultimate Oscillator are going down. Okay, right here, this was the high. The second condition is it should be above the 70 line and overbought at the highest point. But at the standard settings of 714.28, you're not going to get a whole lot of anything under 30 or anything above 70 readings. So maybe 4, 8, 16 will give you a lot more signals. Anyway, the stock goes up. This high here is the high on this chart so far. Okay, and the stock is right about here. Then the next high comes right about here, and the stock is higher, but this high is lower than the first high. Then comes the top. Okay, the top should have the highest high on Ultimate Oscillator, but it is the 3rd lowest reading, so that is a bearish divergence. When the stock goes up and Ultimate Oscillator goes down, that is predicting a fall. And then when it tries to get bullish one more time, but the overall chart pattern is a bearish head and shoulders with the head right here with a few tall upper wicks. The left shoulder is right here, and the right shoulder is here also with some reversal candles. And support, neckline support is right here, and when it closes below it this day, it falls hard. Okay, so this bearish divergence in Ultimate Oscillator by going down at the highs showed that the run was about over. Okay, and right here it became very bearish by dropping below 50. Okay, the next bearish divergence comes right here. The high right there on Ultimate Oscillator is much higher than the high here, even though this high is higher than that high. Okay, and that foretold of this double top chart pattern, which is bearish, and when it broke below neckline support right here, it fell hard. Okay, let's talk about bullish divergences now. There's only one on this chart, and as the stock was falling right here, okay, the lows are down like this. Ultimate Oscillator, the lows on it are going up. Okay, then it finally did one more final dip below 30, became oversold, and then the buyer stepped in. And then it formed another bullish divergence while the stock was kind of topping down. This looks like it's curving down right here, but Ultimate Oscillator was below the 30 line and started to move up convincingly even before the stock started to move up. And on this volume right here, as it broke above the 50 line back here, it became very bullish as it broke above all of this resistance right here. And on really big volume, it took off for 4 or 5 days. Okay, that was a little too far too fast, and it needed to pull back a little to cool off some overheated indicators there. Now I see two bearish divergences on this chart, and they're pretty big. Okay, let's go ahead and load up a red line here. Okay, this is the highs on Ultimate Oscillator, basically. From this point to this point, the stock is going up, but the highs on Ultimate Oscillator are getting lower. Okay, look at this one. This should be higher than that because the price got higher, but this reading right here is much lower than this one right here. Okay, so that forewarned that the run might be over. And especially when you see a beautiful bearish head and shoulders chart pattern with the head right there, the left shoulder here, and the right shoulder here with the tall upper wick. When it breaks neckline support on this day right here, the stock falls really hard. Okay, immediately it goes below the 50 line and remains bearish up until this point right here when the bulls take over, and again it does another bearish divergence. Okay, it breaks up through 50, becomes bullish. This double bottom chart pattern did not yield because there was no buy volume here to break it above the old resistance, so it pulled back. Then it formed another bearish head and shoulder chart pattern with the head here, the left shoulder right here, and the right shoulder here. And when it broke neckline support in this area on this day, again it fell hard because Ultimate Oscillator said even though this high was much higher than this high, it's not showing up here. It is actually lower here than it was there. Now let's take a look at a bullish divergence that worked very well. Right here, the stock price is falling. The lows are getting lower, yet the lows on Ultimate Oscillator are getting higher, even before it bottoms out with a nice reversal candle with a lower wick and the volume comes in. Right here, it becomes bullish by crossing up through the 50 line well before the volume comes in and breaks it out of a bullish inverse head and shoulders with the head right there, the left shoulder in this area, and the right shoulder right here. And when it breaks above neckline resistance on this day, it's nothing but big green volume for a number of days. And the stock runs from 725 pretty much straight up to over 950. So this bullish divergence was foretelling that the bottom was coming soon because first condition was it was oversold. Second condition, the second low is higher than the first low even though the stock price is lower here than it was back here. And then the cross up through 50 to become bullish and the stock takes off on huge volume as it breaks above all levels of resistance.